Well, welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and as you can tell, I am back down at Gordon Murray Automotive to discuss his latest car, the T.33 Spider. But if you just swing round, Charlie, it's not only the T.33 Spider we have here, we have all four cars that Gordon Murray Automotive have now produced. So the T50, T33 and the T50S, or Niki Lauda. Gordon Murray is going to join me in a moment. And this is going to be partly a review of the T.33 Spider, which looks so pretty in this colour. Lots of details discussed on there. But I'm also going to discuss with Gordon how the landscape of the performance car is changing. The goalposts keep moving for performance cars on legislation. The internal combustion engine ban was going to be 1930. Now that's in the air in EU. And then there's talk of smaller manufacturers being able to continue beyond the ban of internal combustion engines. Who knows what's going to happen? But I think Gordon Murray probably has a better idea than I do. So we're going to go into the detail of that and how he sees performance cars developing in this era of electric and hybrid, etc. So Gordon's going to come down and then we'll talk about the family and move on to the T.33 Spider. Gordon, thanks ever so much for inviting me down here again to your lair.
Pleasure.
Full of cars, 4 cars now.
Yes.
When we get to the T.33 Spider, which we will, but this is sort of where it all started, wasn't it? The T50.
Yeah, and this is actually now on the production line. So the first customers will be getting their cars really soon.
Fantastic.
A lot of excited people out there.
I bet there are. Well, it was all through lockdown, wasn't it, when this was all... I remember coming down into here.
Yeah, we couldn't share a lot of it with folks, which is a shame, really, in that period.
Yeah.
But of course now, we've done thousands and thousands of miles in it and proved out the principle, which applies to all the family of cars in GMA.
Yeah. You've done quite a few miles now yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, yes, indeed, yeah.
Yeah, it was all...
It's... And I'm now convinced that really is the next F1. It's not. You can never make something that's a giant step from an F1 because that was such a giant step. But it's sort of better in every way, just with 30 years of development.
You've had a lot of time to think about it, haven't you?
Yes.
Between 95 and now. Yeah. But I didn't expect that was the other car we did in lockdown. I remember doing that on a Zoom call, the 50S, Niki Lauda.
Yep.
And here it is. First time I've actually seen it in physical, like this. It's much more aggressive.
Funny enough, tomorrow the first monocoque arrives and goes into the prototype shop at Shelford, and the guys start assembling the car. So this will be running this summer and doing all its development work this summer.
Oh right, so we'll see this in action at Goodwood and things like that.
Yeah.
It looks terrific. Who's buying this car? I can never quite work out who actually buys this car. Is it different parts of the world?
Well, track cars are becoming more and more popular. You know better than anybody now with the restrictions on the roads and the traffic and stuff.
Yeah.
And we've got quite a good following in the GMA sort of family with people who own road cars and track cars. And we plan to do some events where we have track cars only, but we also plan some events where people can drive up in a road car and then spend a couple of days on a circuit with any car I've designed. So if somebody's got an old Brabham Formula One car or one of these, so we plan to do some fun events.
You're going to be quite busy, aren't you, with the toys, bringing these out? I
think because of you said earlier, the COVID thing, it's all come together at once, And so we've got that going into production. 33 we're just prototyping and going into development. This the same thing.
It does look, it's a great year for Le Mans and things this year. The celebrations. Shouldn't that have gone racing?
It should be. It needs to be a bit heavier to go to Le Mans.
It needs to be a bit heavier.
Yeah, this is still 200 kilos under the limit.
Oh right, you have to add 200.
This is coming out under 900.
Good Lord.
And we said to Cosworth, we'd like the road car was supposed to be 650, this one. It's come out at 670. So we said to Cosworth, to differentiate this, it should be at least 725. They've got 770 out of this.
Is that more revs? Have they done it via revs?
No, it's not revs. It's just not running cats and not worrying about emissions and stuff like that.
My goodness, don't tell the owners of that, because they'll be wanting a bit of that as well, yes. And T33 we saw over at the other unit. But come to see this, which I love the colour of it. I'm guessing that you might have something to do with that.
Yes, well, Kev Richards, my creative director, and I work, as you know, very closely with our team in the studio. And we decided when we launched GMA with 50, we'd play safe because, as you know, colours polarise people.
Yeah.
And there'll always be people that don't like yellow or blue or red or whatever. So we decided to play safe also because T50 was very technical. Silver shows off the technical bits. And then with 33 Coupe, we came that close to a colour, and then we chickened out.
So it went silver again.
So with this, we thought, right, that's enough.
Yeah.
You know, it's about time we had a colour.
A proper colour.
And Kev and the team came up with this blue, which I absolutely love.
Yeah. See, it's not reminiscent of something. It wasn't a reminder of something. It's just a nice colour.
No, I think it was inspired by a photograph of a kingfisher. Yeah. Actually.
Yeah.
And I think it suits the car really well.
I'm surprised quite how different it is. You know, when I first walked in, there was obviously the sort of flowing rear screen on it. I'm very glad to see that's remained.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's part of it. But was there a discussion on how that was going to work? The streamline,
well, my first sketches, because as you know, I get involved with the styling and the engineering. So my first sketches all had this buttress coming down to about here because I was really worried about having too much deck sticking out the back. But when I'd finished them and the guys started rendering it, it just looked like a coupe with the glass missing.
Right.
The side profile. And I thought, no. So we shortened this back again and immediately it got better. But then we were stuck with a long flat deck.
Right.
Once we'd started working on this sculpture and detail and putting the chimneys we need for the cats and the primary pipes.
Yeah.
Suddenly the deck works, you know. So it was a sort of an iterative process. But in the beginning, I really didn't want to do the 2 rollover bumps like 90% of the Spiders do.
Right.
They always annoy me because the outside has to be the outside of the car, which means they're offset to the headrest. If you look at all those cars, they're never in the middle of the headrest. So you've got these 2 offset bumps. Which I really don't like. And then also, we were very wary about that with just 2 separate bumps, with the spoiler not working properly because of the air tumbling off here. This cleans up the air really nicely. Even without the roof, it works. So I thought we'd have to have a much bigger spoiler on the Spider to be just as effective, because the downforce target for this is the same as the coupe.
I thought you were doing most of that from underneath, though, on this car, aren't you? Isn't there?
Yeah, 90% of it, but that does play a part.
Right, and braking and things. Was it ever going to be a full convertible soft top or anything like that? It always.
We debated a long time about the roof mech, but I think in the end, you know, the fixed carbon panel sort of always wins. The floppy roofs on a 200-mile-an-hour car are not too clever, really. No, it gets pretty drafty in there. At high speed. And I'm guessing that's a third brake light or something, is it? It is, yeah.
Something like that.
It's a high-level stop lamp, and also it's a rear-view camera. So we've got a reversing camera and a permanent rear-view camera.
Right. So
we've got.
Because that's right in the middle, isn't it? When you're looking behind, you've got a big lump.
So this blocks your view. So this mirror is actually a screen.
Oh, I see.
So you've got a permanent camera as well. The rear view's going to be pretty good, I should say.
Yeah, and weight isn't that different, is it, between coupe and Spider?
No, because we considered right from the beginning, we considered the Spider alongside the coupe. So the torsional target, because obviously with our driving perfection, it isn't just taking the roof off.
Principles, there
Indeed.
Yeah.
It had to be all about vehicle dynamics, and we didn't want that to be worse than the coupe. So our minimum torsional target was applied to this. So the coupe is stiffer, but that's a bonus, if you like. And that's made possible with our iStream ultralight, the carbon monocoque.
Yes.
And we can do it really easily because, of course, the torsion with the Spider is all in the rocker that's left behind.
Yeah.
And with iStream ultralight, the thickness of the panel, the 2 skins around the core, you know, you can vary it so easily. So, for example, on this, the outer panel is about 60 or 70 millimeters wide on the outside of the rocker,
Oh, right.
the carbon.
I think we're going to see that later because we're going to open that door, I think,
Yeah.
the driver's door. But
Yeah.
so it's not much of a sill to clamber in and out, isn't it?
It's quite chunky, but it's not bad, ingress egress, yeah.
Was there any opportunity, just looking at the size of the screen, was there any opportunity to cut that down?
Well, this is actually a snapshot in time, this show car, from about, because these take about 9 months to make. We subsequently decided that that's not big enough.
Right.
You'll see when you get in, this is a little bit too close to your head when you're getting in. So on the real car, we're about 110, 120 mil further forward than this.
Oh, right.
So the whole screen shifted. Doesn't change the look of the car. In fact, I think I prefer it to this.
It did. That was the only slightly awkward bit when I walked
Yeah.
in. I thought that looks a bit wrong. It should be
Yeah,
further
this is just a
back.
little bit too close to your head.
But that's
so
the same screen then as T33.
This
isn't
is,
it?
yeah. But, so we're going to be even more different, if you like. with
Right.
this.
Oh,
Because
good.
everything from here back is new on this car.
It was. But those have to store in there, isn't it? That's how that
Yeah,
works.
so we were really keen to have we've got a target of about 60 seconds to take the panels off and store them,
Right.
and about a minute. And
Yeah.
the idea was when they stored, you still had to have a reasonable amount of luggage to go off for a week or something. You know? So
Yeah.
we're left with 180 litres of luggage space, even with the roof stored.
Right, because we've got the two bins here, haven't
Yep.
we? Yeah. And also the colour coming in, isn't it? Because the window
Yeah, well,
goes
see,
down.
there's no new ideas on the planet. I stole that from the early Corvettes.
Yes.
They,
Yeah.
if you
had
look
it,
at the
didn't they?
late 50s, early 60s Corvettes, they
Yeah.
brought the colour, because they were all convertibles, of course.
Yeah.
They brought the colour in from the rear deck.
And I noticed a manual gearbox, and I think there's a story to tell there, isn't there? Because last time when we looked around there, you said, no, we need an automatic version, we need an automatic version, and sold 5
So
or something.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
And this is one I can't blame anybody else in the team. I sat down with Henry, our sales chap, and I said, 300 cars off, okay, there's 100 of each, and they're very different, but 300 cars off the same platform, I think we need the broader audience, we should do a paddle shift. And we started developing it. We had a Lotus Evora with the gearbox already working in it.
Yeah.
And I suppose, it couldn't have been more stupid, if you like, because I should have read Driving Perfection, and knowing that the gear change is a huge part of involving the driver.
Yeah.
And when it came down to it, there were 3 or 4 people that wanted it, and 2 of those people had problems with their clutch legs. So they had to have a paddle shift.
Right.
And so it would have ended up the world's most expensive option.
Yeah. Is it gone now then?
That's gone.
Oh, so there's no auto versus a T33.
So that's my embarrassment, because we're not doing it.
Okay, so have a look on Auto Trader. There's an automatic Evora with quite a trick engine in it or something.
Yes.
Yeah. So dear. So it's manual from now on then?
Yeah,
is it,
it is, yeah.
Is that, and that's what
It's a
people
lesson.
demand?
It's a lesson learned.
Yeah.
People just. But I should have stopped and thought about it, because the driver involvement, the gear change is a big part of that. Really.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as everything moves to automation and electric, it's the differentiator, isn't it? Almost. It's good. We can actually see the interior now, isn't it? We've got. Yeah.
Yeah, you can have a sit in it if you like.
And up it goes. Those didn't open when I was last year, but that's the same mechanism then. The hinge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
frameless up.
Yeah.
Right, and there's the thin seal. Oh, we still have to have a handbrake, do we? Can you do electric handbrake, or you wanted the real one?
Well, firstly, it's 2.8 kilos heavier, electric one, with the
Oh, is it?
the motors on the caliper. But also, I just like handbrakes. The A10 has an electric handbrake, which is always coming on when you don't want it, and not coming on when you do want it on.
Right.
And when you go away on holiday, you have to run the engine and go through the menu to put it in handbrake off mode with the engine off.
Oh, right. Oh, it's automatic.
It's a disaster. Yeah.
Right. So it's a fly-off handbrake.
Fly-off,
yeah. My goodness. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to do. Am I allowed to sit in it?
Yeah,
or
of
not?
course.
Oh, we can. Oh, well, I will then.
Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful pedals. And a thin wheel.
Indeed. Yeah.
That is.
I don't like fat steering wheels.
No. And then 2 screens, rev counter in the middle,
Yep.
with the crazy figure of 12 at the end of it. My goodness. That is lovely. It does have reminiscences of going in the McLaren F1. Just the colour of alloy in here and
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's both very driver focused, yeah. And nothing you don't need. There's no touch screens again, everything's analog.
yeah,
Where we can, the switches are rotary.
yes, all these.
And there's no column stalks.
Oh, you've got
rid
indicators
of
in
those,
here,
yeah.
right,
And once again, not too much on the wheel.
right. We've got volumes or something going on
Yeah,
here.
you've got the right-hand one's volume and the left-hand one controls your left-hand screen. And then you've got the pedals at the back are horn and flash.
Yes, which is
And
almost a
that's
signature
it,
of
basically, yeah.
Gordon Murray cars. So, do you have driver setup in here? I can see I've got a traction control
We've got
off.
traction control and ESP, and we've got engine mode as well. We've got a sport mode for the engine.
You're going to have two engine modes,
yeah.
but you don't adjust anything else.
That's it.
No, because I had an M3 competition the other day, and it would adjust everything from steering weight to braking weight to traction. It was endless, the options.
No.
Because this is even fixed dampers as well. You don't.
It is,
Yeah,
passive
it's
damping, yeah.
passive damping. That's the same on T50.
Yep.
and
I took a
just-
lesson. We benchmarked the Alpine because up until I got the Alpine, my best ride and handling was the Lotus Evora compromise. You know, the Lotus, the ride and handling. And when I got the Alpine, I thought that was better. So I gave it to the guys for 2 months. They tore it to pieces.
Right.
Twisted it, bent it, we put it on a KNC rig. And the Alpine's a great example of how you don't need to get complicated.
No.
If the car's light
Right.
and stiff.
Right.
It's
Okay.
double wishbone suspension, pure geometry, passive dampers, nothing trick at all. So,
Wow.
you know, there was talk with T50, we should go to active dampers and things, but we resisted it. I'm so pleased we did
Yeah.
now.
Love the pedals, pedal layout. It's just beautiful. It's absolute art down here. Is this? Yeah. I'm gonna get out. Hang on. You don't have to record this, Charlie. No, you don't. While that's up, something happens here as well, doesn't there?
Yeah.
There we go. And there's the bin, the famous bin, which I should get out of the car and then get to it here. Well, that's the case. That is so reminiscent of my Pagani Zonda, I have to say, that bag. That's nuts. That's big, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
That is really deep. So that's a carry-on bag type of
It
thing,
is, yeah.
isn't it?
We
Wheelie bag,
probably
sorry.
will put two suitcases. On 50, we've got two suitcases. So we've got a biggish one like that, then we've got another small one on top. We'll
Okay.
probably do 4 suitcases, but we can actually do different luggage configurations. But let's probably do 4 standard, and then there's 2 carry-on cases that go in the nose as well.
Never thought you'd be doing fitted luggage from Gordon Murray Automotive, but there we are. If I have another disappointment with this car as I see it now, apart from the roof, which you've explained that's going to change, I can't see the engine. You've got that wonderful V12. Where is it?
We learnt a really tough lesson on 50, because I insisted you should be able to see the engine from day one.
Yeah.
So that's why we've got the glass engine cover. And
Yeah.
see, what we forgot, what I forgot, I can't blame anybody else, the top of the cam covers is only about 420 mil. So it's so far down. So
Right.
on 50, you can see the engine, but you have to stand and go right over the car. And 33 is slightly better,
Right.
but the engine is so low. And on this, the idea of introducing an artificial glass panel
I see.
about this big, you know, on there, I couldn't bring myself to do that.
Couldn't do it. So that will stay like that. But this isn't quite right production here, is it? You can see.
No.
You can see the suspension or something here. Can you?
You will be able to see some of the engine bay, yeah.
This is the door handle is here, isn't
That's
it?
the door handle, and
Yeah.
then the release for this will be in the door jamb.
Right. So I'll
Indeed.
press that and then that'll pop.
Yeah.
Because if I say yes, I would like a T.33 Spider. How much am I going to have to pay for this car?
This is at 1.89.
That's yes. So it's quite a bit more than the
Yeah, well,
coupe.
since that of course we designed over 2 years ago,
Right.
and the bill of materials just with supply materials and parts has gone up about 40%. So by the time people get that, they've got a bargain. They really have.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
40%. Wow. Because that's 1.37, wasn't it?
That's right,
I think. 1.8, 2.37.
2.36, I think it was.
36,
Yeah.
gosh.
And that's 3.1.
And that's 3.1.
But yeah,
right.
the raw materials and parts, everything's gone up.
Well, it looks absolutely lovely. I can't get over the wheel size and 295s and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Something I was thinking, at that weight, do you actually need power steering on the front? Because they're 235.
Well, this once again, like 33, this is manual.
Oh, is it the steering?
Yeah. It's
There's
just
no
got,
power steering?
It's just got low speed assistance for parking.
Oh,
So
right.
it's a manual steering.
Is
As soon as
it?
you're doing more than 4 miles an hour,
Right.
it's manual. Nothing's interfering with it.
Good heavens. So, because it's not a hydraulic system, it has to be electric, doesn't it?
It's just for parking, literally.
Yeah,
Just to
it's
take,
so-
I mean, we debated for a long time not having anything, but
Yeah.
parking, if you're doing a 5-point turn,
Yes,
it's
it's
quite
tedious.
heavy.
Yeah.
But as soon as you get rolling, it's fine.
Well, that sort of leads us on to legislation. Everything is coming down the road and hitting you. What about things? I thought you had to fit sort of lane assist and things like that on cars from
At
next
the
year.
moment, with low volume, there's only certain things you have to have. You have to have traction control, ESP, and ABS now. But the other ADAS stuff at this volume, you don't have to have.
Oh, you don't have to do
It might be
that.
coming though.
So you've always got to keep it in the background as
Absolutely.
a solution, but at the moment
Yeah.
it's not on it.
Yeah.
Okay, because the other peculiar thing was the EU announced when they did the Euro 7 that the internal combustion engine ban 2035 in Europe doesn't apply if you build under 1,000 cars
Yeah.
a year, isn't it?
Yeah.
You must have had a party that day, didn't you?
Indeed, because it was absolutely no doubt when we launched 33, this would be the last platform that was non-hybrid.
It's
there
what
was
you told
no
me.
argument, no
Yeah.
argument, because the rules said everything had to be
Yeah.
electrified. The problem we've got though is the US market. 50% of our customer base is US,
Right.
so it depends what they do, really. Otherwise, we're going to have a little bit of a dilemma because you've got 50% going to the States, 50% coming here, so we'll have to see what the States do.
Right. So they have similar rules that are demanding electric. Do they have a cut-off date, or is it different by state?
California is always the most stringent,
Yeah.
and that we have to obviously apply with. It's like this is fully federally homologated, so it's added £28 million to the program. We've got to crash more than 30 cars.
30 cars. And you were talking about that. You can't reuse a car, can you?
No.
So that is mad, isn't it? Yeah. So I thought we'd come in here, I have a very cloudy crystal ball on what the future holds, because it is so confusing because the goalposts keep moving. Are you having the same issues here that you're?
We are a bit, to be honest. We are a bit because we'd already set our minds on the fact that Project 3 would have to be hybrid.
Yeah.
Not full electric, but hybrid. So now we're having a bit of a rethink. I want to try and keep using. I mean, that V12 is just literally. Now that I've driven T50, we hoped it would be the world's best engine. It is.
Right.
And we're going to try and keep using that as long as possible, obviously. And the investment we had in the motor in the first place was huge.
Yeah, but you were telling me that the other part of Gordon Murray, the development side, you with a OEM, another company, battery technology was about to make a big step. And
so the other
direction.
side of the business, Gordon Murray Technologies, the other side of the business is working on not just iStream, but working on We've got an electronics business now in Warwick, and they're working on new motor technology, new battery technology. Our ISG, that's on this, the PMU, the power units, the power module in the front was developed with the electronics folks. So we're working on sort of global stuff, really, I suppose.
But
this is the fun bit.
Yeah, this is the purity of this. But I just find it remarkable that this might well be able to continue, and there's obviously a customer base for it, isn't there? these cars, because we're not, it almost shouldn't be touching this, the legislation, because this is, you know, they're never going to do huge miles. This isn't what's, you know,
not
causing
big
car
volume
accidents.
numbers and not big miles, really. But you should be allowed to make these just because of the sound they make.
Yes, yeah. Well, there's e-fuels and synthetics, and I'm guessing you can make.
There's various avenues. I think
Yeah.
I think also just generally, if you get, I don't know if you've noticed it, Harry, but just generally in the automotive sector, this mad rush to go all electric is actually starting to slow down a little bit, when people are starting to see the practicalities
Yes.
of the EVs. So I think we've got internal combustion around for a lot longer than people think.
Yeah, yeah. The trouble is whether the development into the engine is actually continuing at over
Well,
the years,
it's up
isn't
to
it?
people like us to stump up enough money to do a new engine.
Yeah.
You know, in this sector, really, because
Yeah.
the big OEMs won't be investing in internal combustion.
No. And you're wedded to V12. You don't see that shrinking.
I think not at all. I think V12, I've always thought V12, I think fewer cylinders is a compromise, and I think more cylinders is a compromise.
Yeah.
The 60-degree V12 is the most pure engine you can build, from a primary balance, from an inertia point of view, from a weight point of view, and an engine pickup speed. There's just nothing better.
Yeah.
Eights are quite cumbersome things,
Yeah.
and 6 cylinders are better than 8s.
Yeah.
But they just lose the exotic bit for me.
Right.
You know, and 4s, you're in the mainstream. And if you go more than 12, you have to go to 16. And when you go to 16, there's all sorts of compromises with vibration, weight, crank stiffness.
No, I think that's a nonsense. I would agree with you. Stop at V12.
So 12,
Yeah.
12, I mean, if you mix all those elements, you know, the exotic bit of it,
Yeah.
the weight of the size of the engine, the center of gravity,
Yeah.
a 12, unless you go too big on capacity, then a 12 starts getting cumbersome. Once you get up to 6, 7 litres, a 12 starts getting a bit big and cumbersome. But if you're around the sort of 4-litre mark, you just can't beat it.
No. Well, I suggest I know some quite good V10s as a compromise.
Yeah, that's a good compromise. It's better than an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, you've arrived in your Alpine A110. I've arrived in my Lotus Emira. Your love of those sort of cars, wouldn't you like to touch something in that sector, or is it just can't make it work?
We did for Yamaha.
Yeah.
We had a car that everybody could have afforded. I think the GMD car park would have had 60% T40s, which was about the size of a Lotus Elise, but had full air conditioning, massive luggage space, all the creature comforts, and would have sold, the base one would have sold for 27 grand.
I was very lucky to see it. I couldn't say anything about it. And it had that rear clamshell on it as well, didn't it?
Yeah. That was I mean, the car park would have been full of, I would have had one instantly, you know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think they had a management change and it didn't go forward.
Yeah, that was a shame. But is that something Gordon Murray Automotive could ever move into?
We're just not set up for high volume. You know, we'd have to invest. We always have to have a massive investment to go high volume, or work with a partner like Yamaha again.
Yeah.
But that would have been a beautiful little car.
Yeah.
You know, it would have been a grown-up Lotus Elise, but lighter.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't get over the price point when I saw it. I was really surprised because it was very exotic. But the other bit I always think when I come away from here, why aren't you going racing? With all your background, this
I'd love
stuff,
to go
V12.
racing again, and I've got guys, you know, like Frank Coppett, my technical director.
Yeah.
He joined me in the middle of the GTR, the F1 GTR period, and he'd love to go racing. I'd love to go racing. We just don't fit the regs, you know. The Le Mans regs, when they said there was going to be a supercar reg, I thought, fantastic.
Yeah.
Harping back to the BPR days again, where you could take a road car and soup it up and go racing, you know, but it's nothing. The LMP prototype thing is nothing like that. It's more like an LMP1 car again. And they're, I think, 1,100 kilos. T50S is under 900. You know, you can't imagine putting 200 kilos of ballast on a car. So that doesn't work, but we have a route. Yeah. We're working very closely, and have been for a year now, with Stefan Rattel, And his SVO operation he runs the GT championships.
Yes.
And he's already started what he calls a GT1 sports club. And you can go along with any of your track cars, your supercar track, and it was about 14 cars that are eligible, I think. And you can go along to one of his championship races, and I think you have a special place to put the cars and maybe do a lap or so.
Yeah.
And then he keeps the track open for 2 days afterwards and keeps all the hospitality and the marshals and the doctors, and you've got proper track time. On the track, you've just watched them racing. Now, if he gets enough, that's stage one.
Right.
If he gets enough following, he's going to have, hopefully, a support race so you could see a Valkyrie against T50S, against a Lamborghini, against a Ferrari, and that would be great.
Yeah.
So we're hoping either with 50S or 33 we can go racing. This would make a great racing car.
Well, I keep thinking you very publicly said there's 3 models of this.
Yes.
Well, here are 2. So is that the direction?
The third one, I mean, it's probably no secret now.
Yeah.
The third one will be a much more focused motor car than this, because I think you know me by now. I don't do stiffly sprung cars.
No.
You know, it's not me. So these cars have all got proper ride heights. You don't have to slow down for sleeping policemen and stuff. It's nothing to stop you using the car, including, you know, your fillings falling out of your teeth or not being able to drive over a sleeping policeman. So these cars are relatively softly sprung, but there are people that want to do track days and want to just have a car that's a bit more German, if you like, you know. So we're going to take a look at this completely again after this. Go right back to basics, and see what we can do to bring it into to have a much more focused driver's car again.
Oh, good.
But there will be compromises, because it'll be a bit stiffer and not quite so comfy.
That's great news. But the other bit that winds me up: why have you stuck to 100 cars on each model? Why not 120 or 150 of that?
That's a practical reason, because when you look at our product cycle time, it's all to do with product cycle time.
Right.
That is, if you've only got one group, and we can't afford more than one group of design engineers, one group of development engineers, and one group of manufacturing people.
Yeah.
When the design group has finished designing one car, they want to seamlessly move on to the next. The same with the development, and the same for manufacturing. It just turned out that was about a 12-month cycle, because there's 3. There's manufacturing, design, and development. So it's about a 3-year product cycle.
Yeah.
And so that works out at about 3.5 cars a week to assemble something as exotic, because these cars take 5 weeks to assemble. So that works out at about 100 cars every 12 months. So it's a practical reason.
Oh, right. So you are limited,
I wanted them, don't get me wrong, I wanted them to be exclusive anyway, but the reason why it's not 80 or 120 is the practical reason.
And you probably, when you released T50, said, why didn't we do 120 of them, or perhaps
I think we could have done 180 of those.
Oh, yes. And last time I saw you, you were promised me a go in that year, which was last year.
Yes, we've had a disaster like it. Not just us, everybody has had with parts supply and supply chain. But the good news is we've overcome all that. Yeah. And they actually are on the production line now.
They are on the production line, brilliant. And the first customer car is?
I would think around May, June.
May, June this year.
Yeah.
And blokes like me, when's the chance you're going to see a road test in one of the magazines?
Oh,
or
this summer.
Like that? This summer.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing that. Yes. Been great to follow the journey, and to be surrounded by 4 cars is remarkable in the short time frame, really, since we first saw T50. And then to hear that the legislation is going to allow these cars to live on.
Hopefully, yeah. Really do hope we can go on a little bit further.
Yeah.
Because we'd gone a bit down the road on the hybrid technology already for Project 3, so we're backing off that.
Brilliant, Gordon. Thanks ever so much for your time and showing us around the new car. 1.87. Yeah, I'll have to work that one out. So there you go. There's a look at the new T.33 Spider, and also a sort of insight of where Gordon Murray Automotive is heading. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming along very soon.